Hi, welcome to Walking Wilder. I'm back. This is a shadow reading to see what shadow is playing out in your life, your unconscious mind at the moment. It might affect your surroundings, your relationships with others. So let's see what's going on here. Welcome in if you're new. Welcome back if you've been here before. All right. These readings are a little bit different, perhaps, than many readings. Mostly about shadow work, inner child healing, ancestral wounds, past lives, that type of thing. So if that's your vibe, welcome. Release guilt at the bottom here. Let's see what flew out for this reading. Unmask your fears. All right. Fear is but a mask. Remove it to see the truth of your inner world. So there's something that you are, some type of fear in your life that you're battling, and this can be wide variety of things, basically. Perhaps you are afraid of speaking your truth, or of being seen, or of not, being good enough, all of those type of things. But something that you might not be fully conscious of is playing a role in your life, your relationships. Spirit, can I know a little bit more about this? What this is for the viewer? Can we know a little bit more? Elusive. So maybe not. But, it's something that you might, as I said, you might not really actually know that this is playing a part in your relationships. It might be something that plays out without timeless here. This can be an old pattern that, lies dormant in your karma somehow, is what I'm feeling. No. That one is turned around the wrong way. I think we'll take the timeless one and see. But yeah, there's something here at the beginning, from the beginning. So there's something here that perhaps you've made yourself a promise, or your soul, has made yourself a promise that there is something you want to accomplish that you're just not really, for whatever reason, it's not playing out in your lives. And I kind of feel like this is, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. There might have been some sort of some kind of trauma at some point that has, somehow shifted something in you. Over here is some cards I made myself, and the one on top is outcast. So there might be something about a previous life where you felt like an outcast, or perhaps, been an outcast. And so now there's this fear of trying to, or this underlying fear of, perhaps being really, truly who you are. You kind of have this underlying thing of being very careful about not stepping out of bounds, not being, not rocking the boat somehow. Spirit, can I know something about what the challenge is here? Can we know something about what the challenge is? Ten of Pentacles. Could be something about money for some of you, that you kind of have this underlying fear. What if I all of a sudden, and this sounds strange, but that's how it's coming through. What if I all of a sudden had this wealth, this money, this abundance that I might have been trying to manifest or wished for? How would that change me? Would it change the relationships around me? Would I be able to, handle this maybe? Or it can also, be this lack mentality that you just kind of fear that you're never gonna make it, you're never gonna have everything that you dreamed of, that type of a thing, but again, it has this elusive energy. It's sort of like, well, it's there, which of course, the shadow is often kind of elusive. We don't really see it. Here's the Strength card. So there's something here. Perhaps some of you have felt like you have to be very strong all the time, like you have to stand up for yourself. You have to, kind of like this life is somewhat of a struggle. You might not really be I don't know, it's like something is not really flowing, like it's uphill. I'm seeing the Ten of Wands from another deck I have, where he's carrying all the wands on his back and he's going uphill, and it's a difficult energy. And that's kind of what I'm getting with this, like you've always had to struggle, or it's felt like you always had to struggle. There's something here about releasing some, I don't know, well, let's see here. Justice, yeah, there's some karma here. There's some karma that needs to be looked at, to be felt into, is really my feeling with it. It's sort of like you, and the fear might actually also be about really taking that in, really looking at it, really, I don't know, speaking to it somehow. My voice is a little affected of this, so there's definitely something about honoring some part of yourself that you might think it's not easy to speak about, or you're not really give me one more, Spirit. What is this? Knight of Cups. Ace of Wands. There's some communication here that you are having with yourself. See how he's sitting here very connected to, his inner world, his guides. It's like, if this resonates with you, you are actually already intuitively aware of this, and it's like you've been trying to figure it out for a while. You might not know that that's exactly what you're looking for, but it's just kind of like you're being drawn into your inner world in a way that is somewhat elusive, but it's kind of like if you go on a treasure hunt, you might not exactly know what the treasure is, you just know there's something there. That's the feeling that I'm getting with this. Kind of like here's the Ace of Wands, looking for this new beginning, this spark, this return to something. Can I know what the karma is about, Spirit? The Magician, yeah. Your ability to manifest these Ten of Pentacles. You have, if this is your reading, there's an underlying fear of stepping fully into who you are, to your power, to fully, try and, not try, that's not right, but to manifest. Oh, and here's the shadow underneath this. There's something about this outcast energy. There might be some karma from a previous life where you were really good at manifesting everything you wanted, everything kind of, came into you easily, but that somehow, created some, I don't know, disturbance in the field, in a way, and this sounds, I don't know, kind of weird, but it's like you now, something happened that created this underlying fear of manifesting. Perhaps, you were robbed of everything, or, there was some kind of whatever disturbance in your field of some sort. I don't know. Oh, this is a weird reading. I don't know if I'll post this, but we'll see. Here's the Hermit. Something happened. Perhaps you were very closed off in that life, kind of withdrew into yourself, and were very focused on material things and very focused on building this. And there might have been loss of some connections. You felt like, well, if I don't, have anyone in my life anyway, then I might as well focus on this. Something like that. Take it as, it resonates. If this moves something in your system, if this somehow on a deeper level connects with something in you, then I would, take that And this may not be a reading that's for very many people at all. We'll see here. Can I know a little bit more, Spirit? Five of Cups. So there's some sorrow here over this. My feeling with this is that whatever this focus was on money, or whatever this was with money, and not just money, you know, but where you put your time, your energy, the material world around you, it caused you some kind of loss, some kind of sorrow in that life. Something to do with love. See how the cups are here? Emotions. It might have caused you connections. And so you might in this life have an underlying fear of creating too much abundance in your life, because in this previous life that cost you relationships or connections that were very important to you. Yeah. Okay. All right. What's the supportive energy here, Spirit? How can we work with this? Three of Swords at the bottom here. Yeah. There's an underlying fear around having too much, because it's karmically has cost you in other lives. Here's Four of Pentacles, and here's Nine of Wands. This was not the Nine of, it was from another deck, but yeah, this is, you know. But see, this is interesting. In this deck, the Nine of Wands, yeah, which, you know, traditionally are carrying a heavy load, that type of thing, been through it, all of that stuff. But here, this card always reminds me of being very connected to spirit. You see how the wands are there. It's kind of like there's this underlying energy of using whatever this is to connect to spirit in a bolder way. It's almost like the magician can take these Nine of Wands and use them for, you know, various purposes in your manifestation process, which, you know, is not, we learn from our, you know, from our shadows. And, you know, if we do shadow work, then yes, that often means that something transforms in our life and stuff. So this is not really, but it's like there's used for what? The Emperor. It's like this, the release guilt card that was at the bottom here. There's something with this Nine of Wands, with things you've been going through in this life. You might have felt, you know, like I said earlier, that it's been kind of uphill and been a struggle. And there's something specific in that you can use to manifest some lessons. Perhaps there's something you want to manifest, because perhaps you want to teach, or here's the Four of Pentacles. You know, there's something to learn here about this energy. The Four of Pentacles, sometimes, you know, in the original deck, he's sitting there holding on to his big pentacle, kind of like, oh, protecting your resources and stuff. There's something to be learned here about perhaps letting go a little bit of that, being more in flow, being more in an energy of, I do deserve both love and money. For some of you, it might be like you have an underlying sense of fear that it's like, if I have one, I can't have the other type of thing. I don't know, this is a very, well, yeah, a very elusive energy. So again, I hope it makes sense for someone out there. Can I know a little bit more about the supportive energy here, Spirit? Because this feels a little bit like a doozy. Well, no, not like a doozy. That's too many. Can we just have a few? King of Pentacles. And the Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, there's definitely something with your relationship to money and this underlying fear of, I think for most of you, there's this underlying thing of, if I have money, if I have all the resources I want, if I have, you know, the time, the energy, all of that, then, you know, I can't have it all. It's kind of like that energy. No, you can't have it all. Here's the Wheel of Fortune. So something is definitely turning. See how she's, balancing all of this. There's some karma that needs to be moved, kind of like transmuted in a way, is the way that this feels, to some, I don't know, different, because this is a beautiful energy. The King of Pentacles, he's stable, he's secure, he's grounded, he's, all of that good stuff. So why? Yeah, see, and here's the Page of Pentacles, which to me she's like, this is you, wishing for things, kind of trying to manifest your dream life. What is this peeking out here? And here's the King of Swords. For some of you, your dream life might not be something that other people would consider a dream life. And so this underlying fear around you has to do with that if I manifest this life, then people around me are not going to get why that's important to me, because it's not the way they would choose to live, that type of energy. What you don't see coming here. Six of Swords. Yeah, it's time to leave this behind. To me, this is a card that talks very much about being connected to spirit, kind of, out here in the woods. It's like there's a direct line here. Something about messages that you might be getting, kind of like across time and space type of thing. It's like all of a sudden you feel more connected somehow. Can I have one more with that? And so you kind of walk away from this. It might also be that you see it for what it is. Here's the Four of Swords, something being healed. The Moon. For some of you, there could be something about moon cycles, about doing rituals and manifestation things, letting go, that type of thing. Around the full moon, manifesting around the new moon. Something about moon cycles, which can also just be symbolic for trying to tune more into your intuition and living more in flow with that. Here's the Eight of Swords. Some of you are really in your head about this. You may not know that it's actually fear that's causing it. It's kind of, you might be in this thing, well, if I do this, then, my parents won't agree with me. Or if I, choose this, then people might think I'm, greedy or whatever it is for you. But it's like it's being affected by people around you. Distinct here, see the zebras, and every zebra is different, so there might be something about you not wanting to stand out. I'm seeing this I'm seeing this herd of zebras where there's like one right on the edge, and it's like I really don't belong. I become that outcast if I go sort of in a different direction, or if I put my emphasis on something else than the rest of them, that type of thing here. All right, possible outcome here, Spirit. Three of Swords and the Devil. The Devil is about fear. And the Three of Swords, of course, is heartbreak and sorrow. Tell me more about this. What's the possible outcome here, Spirit? Why is the Devil and the Three of Swords here? Three of Pentacles. Six of Wands. Success, working together. For some of you, this fear of, people not agreeing or some kind of heartbreak, people leaving you behind or saying we don't want any part of that and all of that, is really just a fear. That's not the way, it's going to happen, because here's the Three of Pentacles, which, is about working together, success, skills, financial rewards, and the Six of Wands, which is about success. So this really is a fear. This is not how things are going to play out, is the message with this. Can I have one more? Yeah, Queen of Pentacles. You can be the Queen of Pentacles. That doesn't mean that you can't, have love if you have money, or, have money if you have love. That type of, it's sort of that energy. Now, that might not really be the exact thing for you, but it's something along those lines, if that makes sense. It's kind of like this feeling of, well, I really can't have it all. Some of you might feel like, well, I shouldn't be asking for that. I shouldn't be trying to manifest that. That's too big. That's too, I don't really deserve that, or, that kind of energy. But Spirit is like, yeah, you do. You're the Queen of Pentacles. So, yeah, there's a fear of, strangely, there's a fear of not having enough, but there's also a fear of, no, I can't, ask for that, because that's just not, that's too much, that's too, whatever it is. Can I have a few more advice here, Spirit? Three of Wands. Yeah. See how this is a very intuitive card in my understanding of it, in especially this deck, with the third eye there. It's kind of like when you're viewing your future, use your intuition, connect to a higher part of you, perhaps connect to your higher self. Your higher self doesn't carry all these shadows with wounds and stuff. Your higher self is like, yeah, I'm glorious. Of course I deserve this. Of course I should manifest this, because I'm here to create wonderful things, to be wonderful things. It's kind of like that energy. Visualize the best possible future, even though, some of you might make a vision board, or, write something down. And when you do it, you're like, oh, this is huge. I just could never, type of thing. But your higher self is like, yeah, you could. There's something about working actively with this energy, kind of like a fake it till you make it type of situation. You have to slowly teach yourself that this shadow really literally comes from something karmic, is an old pattern. That does not mean that that's your truth in this life. You can have good things. You can manifest abundance of time and money and wealth and connections and all the good stuff. And love. Yeah. Yeah, Three of Cups. Working with others, having good relationships, being happy, that type of energy. So I hope this helps a little bit. This is kind of a strange reading, but hopefully it will resonate with you. If it does, please give it a thumbs up. So consider subscribing to the channel. That really does help a lot, and more readings can get out to more people. So that's what it's all about. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and big love.